Let's play a little game today. Opposites, right? Hot, up, inside, love, wrong. I knew I was going to get you on that one. Okay. Indifference. Indifference. Because indifference has no object. Love has an object, right? Indifference. That's what we hear today in these readings, right? As I was listening to it, it talks about, the finest lamb and good steaks. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to feel guilty if I ever have a piece of filet mignon. It's going to make me think twice, really. They're laying on ivory beds, not drinking a glass of wine, drinking a bowl of wine. Having the best, living lavishly every day, wearing fine linens and purple. Purple is a sign of royalty. So he made himself the king, the center of his world. The man outside, Lazarus, didn't even exist. He didn't hate the guy, he just didn't exist. What is more demeaning to the human person than the failure to acknowledge your very personhood, your very existence, your very being made in the image and likeness of God? And then we hear St. Paul, he's encouraging us. Reach for what's beyond. Reach for the eternal. Live a life of faith and righteousness, compassion and love. That's where our fulfillment is. That's who we were created to be, and God gives us the grace to become that. It is not beyond our reach. And I know that each of us maybe regrets a time when we did not act, when we did not acknowledge the poor, and we can think about times that we failed. And part of that failure for every one of us is not seeking the opportunity, not making the opportunity to take care of those who are poor. And the reality of that is, guess who's really poor? We are. We are very poor to not care for those in need. We are the ones more lacking. Did you notice in the gospel, the poor man was given a name, Lazarus? If you have a name, you matter to God. Not that the rich man didn't, but he's making a point. He's making the point. Because he is in the poor. Christ is in the poor. If we can't see that, we are blind. We are indifferent. We are cold. We are callous. You all know I had the wonderful privilege to travel to Chalco, Mexico last week. Chalco, Mexico, which is where one of the 6 or 7 world villages for children established by Venerable Aloysius Schwartz, Father Schwartz, now Venerable Father Al Schwartz, established these homes for boys and for girls who come from poverty, very deep poverty. They're abused, some of them, and many of them are orphaned. They have no families. And I think any one of us sitting here can't say we suffer from any of that. And as I walked into that massive building, and I saw these little girls between 11 and 16 carrying their own backless chairs to Mass, some of them carrying 5 or 7 of them. I walked in and it was an ocean of people. 3,000 girls. 3,000 girls. And they were so happy. They were so joyful. Though they had basically nothing, they were dependent upon these 40 sisters taking care of 3,000 girls. And these girls, boy, do they have it together. They sewed their own uniforms. When we pulled up in the bus, they were sweeping the streets. They all have a duty. They have exercise time every day. Yeah, I had to get on the basketball court. It was like, but it was fun. As we celebrated Mass and we looked out, it was just joy. They fed me. And we've had that very palpable connection because we're all centered on Christ. Christ was what we both were focusing on. And a few of the girls would take us around and show us their campus very proudly. Even where they sleep, it's 3 bunks high, 24 in a room. 24 in a room. That's probably the size of this choir area, maybe. And as this little girl, her name was Gethsemane. Gethsemane. And after we walked around, we played basketball, and she was so excited, and she says, "Will you be my spiritual father?" That was a gift. I encourage all of you to go. There's another one coming up in February. The November one is filled. I encourage you to go. If you want to really see the face of Christ, you go there. And someone from this parish who will remain anonymous came to me a day or two before and said, "Father, I want you to take this to the orphanage." And that person gave that orphanage $10,000. And the exchange rate is 1 to 18. Doesn't even know these kids. Doesn't even know them. No indifference there. True love. A sense of solidarity. We have to acknowledge our connectedness to each other. This world is so indifferent. That's why it's so in disaster. Because that's not the way God intended it to be. We are to be connected. We are connected. We are the only ones who are guilty of disconnecting ourselves from others. And we have to learn that the gifts we have are to be managed with temperance, sobriety, and detachment. Don't hold on to the things of this world. It's not going to take you to heaven. It's not going to get you to heaven. They are gifted to us as tools to make our lives easier and to make the lives of others easier, especially Christ present in those poor people. As I was preparing for this homily today, I thought about Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta. You know, she was very devoted to the poor. And I thought I would take a look at her words when she was gifted or awarded the Nobel Prize, which she didn't care. It's a thing, big deal. I am grateful and very happy to receive it in the name of the hungry, of the naked, of the homeless, of the crippled, of the blind, of the leprous, of all those people who feel unwanted. Do we know anybody feels unwanted? Do we know anybody unloved, uncared, thrown away by society? pardon me, people who have become a burden to the society, who are shunned by everybody. She goes on to say, tells us a story. One evening, a gentleman came to their house and said, there's a Hindu family, and the 8 children have not eaten for a long time. Do something for them. So she took rice. St. Mother Teresa took rice and went immediately to that home. And she gave it to the mother, and she saw the little children's faces with their little shining eyes, even though they were hungry. And she took the rice from her, and she divided it in 2 and then walked out. So when she came back, Mother Teresa said, where did you go? What did you do? She said, they are hungry also. She went next door to her neighbor, a Muslim family, because they were hungry also. How is it that this person, in their hunger and need, extreme hunger and need, can think of others, and we, in our abundance, can be so cold, selfish, and indifferent? I guess what I'm saying, we are not doing enough still. We are not doing enough still. Christ calls us to greater things. Love is wanting the best for the other. Love is wanting the best for the other. So let's not be the poor ones in this situation. Let's empty ourselves as Christ emptied himself on the cross. Let us give ourselves as Christ gave himself completely to us. He never held back. Always caring, always compassionate. Right? We have to be that way. To really be Christians, to be able to carry that name honestly, we have to be lovers. So today, brothers and sisters, let us answer that call to love, to never be indifferent, to never be cold, to never become so poor as the rich man, so that when we see our Jesus at the time of our judgment, we'll have no fear. And he'll say, well done, my good and faithful servant.